Welcome to LabMinutes.com and our lab video series in Cisco ACS. You can find a complete list of ACS videos on our website by clicking on the link above and sign up for our newsletters to receive the latest video updates. When it comes to device admin, there might be times when you want to restrict users' ability to manage or make changes to your network devices. With Cisco ACS, you're able to do this through shell privilege and command authorizations. In this video, we'll spend more time on device admin using these two features of TACX. Here's our lab setup. We have a Cisco ACS 5.4 installed the IP of .100 and the VLAN 32. We also have a Windows 2008 domain controller at the IP of .40. For our test network device, we have a switch 1 and firewall 1. And for test users, we have 4 users. 2 of them are located on the Active Directory and 2 of them are located locally to ACS. So the first user admin one that's part of network admin will be able to get privilege 15 and has all the commands available to him. Now for support one, that's part of network support, AD group will also have a privilege 15, but all they can do is the show command and the shutdown the interface command. For local user local one, that's part of local admin, will also get a full privilege 15 and all command. And the local 2, that's part of local support, will have his privilege level restricted to just the level 7 with the all commands available. I first want to show you our 4 test users, 2 of them that's on AD right here with admin 1, that's a member of network admin group, and then support 1, that is a member of network support group. For the other 2 users, so let's log into the ACS and take a look at them. Here under user and identity stores, we have those 2 users created in our previous video on the device admin, and here local 1, that is part of local admin identity group, and local 2 that's part of local support identity group. We're going to start our configuration by creating additional shell profile, which is privilege 7. So to do that, you go under policy elements and then device administration. Here are shell profiles, and you see we already have a privilege 15 and max 15 created, again from the previous video. So now we're going to create a new one for privilege 7, and we also going to only allow maximum level of 7. We have to configure corresponding privilege with static for a default privilege. This is where the user will be dropped into, and at the same time they will be pretty much locked into maximum privilege 7. Okay, so submit. Since we're dealing with command authorization here, and as far as we can see, based on our requirement, we have one for permit all command, and we have another one for only show and shutdown commands available. So right underneath shell profile, we have command sets. So we need to create 2 command sets for those requirements. The first one is permit all, and we don't really need to specify anything but except checking this box right here that said permit any command that's not basically specified in this table. Since we not specify anything, it's basically a reverse logic and said all the commands should be available. I'll click submit. Next we're going to create a new command set for show commands and shutdown command for the interface. So we're going to call it show and shut. We just need to make sure that we allow sufficient command for a user to perform those commands. So first, show commands. We're going to grant permit for the command that starts off with show, and then argument can be anything. So basically allowing all show commands. We'll click add. Now in order to get under the interface to perform shutdown, the user will need to perform configure terminal. So we need to allow configure terminal. We'll add that. Next, to get under the interface, the user have to issue interface command. So add that too. And under the interface, the user need to perform shutdown, as well as no shut if you want to allow user to no shut the interface. And just to exit back to the default level prompt, you need to allow the user to type in exit, as well as the end command. So we need to make sure we, in addition to just the show and shutdown, we need to allow all the commands that will get him there and back. And you can get pretty granular with this. For example, out of all the show commands, if you do not want the user to issue, for example, show run, then you can say deny show run, and then just add that and make sure that goes up to the top right above the blanket show command. I'll click submit. Next, we have to go under the authorization policy right here, since we're dealing with LM device admin authorization. And from the previous video, we only allow the shell profile to be under results. Now, in addition to that, we want to add command sets. So click on customize, and then add command set, then OK. We have two existing rules, and the first one is for the network admin group for the admin1 user, and the second one is for the local admin. Both of them is going to be getting permit all command authorization, so let's modify that. You can see by default the command says denied all commands, so let's deselect that, and then we're going to select the permit all. Click OK. Again, we modify the right here permit all. Okay. And then we have to create two additional rules to support these two users, support 1 and local 2. So we're going to choose the rule 1 and then duplicate, let's see, below. And there's do matching protocol TACX, the group or AD group, that's going to change to become a network support group. Click OK. And we said this particular user is going to get privilege 15 and then show shut command set. For result, it's still privilege 15, so we'll leave that alone, and then we'll deselect permit all, but instead we're going to select show shut that contains only show and shutdown command. Click OK. And then for our last group of users, local 2, we're going to again duplicate rule 2, duplicate below. For identity group, that's going to be changed to local support from local admin. And for shell profile, we're going to select our priv7 max 7. Okay. And then save. Then let's make sure everything makes sense and looks correct. So network admin will get priv15 max 15 with all the commands permitted. For network support, again, we'll get the maximum privilege 15, but can only do show and shutdown commands. For the local admin group, we'll get privilege 15 and again all command. And for the local support, we're going to only allow up to the privilege level 7 without command, whatever that's available at that particular privilege level. Alright, so now that we have all those configured, we can start testing. Now the next thing we need to do is to enable command authorization on the switch configuration. So let me bring up the switch. And just to give you a quick review as far as the AAA command that we currently have configured on the switch, we have the authentication, we have authorization exec, and we have all the accounting commands. Now we're going to add on top of that AAA authorization. And here we have a couple options. The one that we're going to do is config command and command. So first we need to enable configuration mode of the command. It's actually config-command right here. Enter, and then we're going to enable command authorization for the different privilege level. So command, here we have to specify the enable or privilege level. So we're going to deal with two levels here, level 1 with the default group ACS1, and in case ACS not reachable, we're going to do if authenticated. We're going to do exact same command for command level 15. Okay, so that should be all you need. Again, just to double check. So these are the authorization, the AAA authorization commands that we have. Before we proceed with our testing, let's do a quick test with the test AAA command and make sure we're still in a good stand as far as connectivity between switch 1 and the ACS. So the command is test AAA group ACS1, admin1, and the password and legacy. See, we can still successfully authenticate. Now from switch 1, we're going to test by telnetting to this own loopback interface and using the account admin1 and Cisco. Okay, and now we are dropped into privilege level 15, and we should be able to do all the commands. Can we show run? Alright, and now if you go onto the ACS and bring up TACX authorization log or report, you can see for every single command that we just enter on switch 1, it's being authorized by the ACS. As you can see right here, show privilege config T interface fast Ethernet. And since it's all green, we know they are allowed by the ACS. Okay, next user we're going to try is support 1, so telnet, and then support 1. and then Cisco, then do show privilege, and you can see we also drop into the privilege level 15, and for some reason we can still do show run command, so let's see why. So let's hop back onto our, actually let's keep going, we'll come back and take a look at this in a second here. We can do config T, we can do interface, let's say FAS108, and then we can do shut, we can do no shut. What about if you're trying to do switch port access, let's say VLAN 10, and you can see that one came back with command authorization failed because that's outside the allow command. We'll go back, so we can see we can pretty much do all the show command. You can do show IP interface brief. You're trying to do clear counter, and that should not be allowed, as you can see here, coming back with authorization fail. So let's now investigate a little bit as far as why the show run is still working while we thought we explicitly deny that as part of the command set. So let's refresh or reload this. All right, let's take a look at this real quick. Starting at the first support with the show privilege, just allow right here show running config. And if we go back and compare to the show shut command set, here we are denying explicitly show run. But as you can see, when you issue show run command, it gets expanded to show running config that was sent to the ACS. So it's not really a match in that regard. So what we need to do is to modify our command to actually include the full version of the command. So what we can do, we can edit and then running config, replace, and submit. Okay, now we do show run again. You can see the command show run is now properly denied. All right, and then we're trying to do switch port access VLAN, it's also deny. Show IP interface brief was permitted, but clear counter was denied. And then if we reload that, report one more time, you can see the show running config is now returned as not being permitted. Okay, so now let's exit out of that and then try and telnet one more time, this time coming in with local 1, Cisco. And again, we should have all the privilege that we need. As far as all the available command, we can even do clear counter that wasn't even available before with the previous user. Let's do reload in the report, and all the commands that's been entered are green. Okay, now the last user we want to test with is local 2. Password Cisco. If we do show priv, you can see how that is now changed to privilege level 7. Okay, we're trying to do show run. You can see show run is not an available command at the privilege 7 level. If you do config T, you can see that it's failing as well because that's a privilege 15 level command. If the user attempts to raise their privilege by do enable 15, actually let's try do enable, and then type in the password, you can see it said error in authentication. Let's say if the user even trying to raise it from level 7 to 8, and then do Cisco, again, it's being denied based on the authentication. And if we go back to our command authorization, right here we have the local 2. You can see show privilege is allowed because that is a privilege level 1 command. But what happened when we try to raise the privilege to whether it's anything beyond 7, and you can see right here, the ACS is reporting that the privileged users trying to access is too high because we are returning with the maximum privilege level of 7. So it does not really allow user to go beyond that level. Okay, so that is for the switch. Next we're going to move on to testing on our firewall. Now first let's bring up the command line on the firewall. And again, to show you what the AAA command that we have configured, we have the authentication console for each of these type of access, and then we have the accounting enable, and we have already specified the authorization exact to contact the authentication server. So to enable authorization or command authorization, we needed one more additional command, which is AAA Authorization Command. And here it doesn't, unlike the switch, it doesn't really ask you to specify the privilege level. Then we can just specify our server, which is TACX. Actually, before I do that, let me run AAA server. So you see we have a AAA server called TACX Define. Again, go back to Authorization Command, TACX, and then fail over to local, and then enter. So if you're trying to telnet from switch 1 to firewall, with 172.16.10.252, give the username prompt. We'll first test with admin1, Cisco. Again, we need to do enable, right? And we can try a few command here with config t, interface E00, interface IP brief, and then we can go back and look at the authorization report one more time. The admin one, but this time the command is being sent from firewall 1 with the config t, basically all the set of command that we just enter into the firewall. Okay, so we know that is working for that user. Next, we're going to move on to the next user, which is support 1, Cisco. And again, this one should have privilege level 15, but limited to just show and shut down command. So we do show current privilege is 15. We try and do clear counter. You can see that it's being denied. If we do config t interface E02, which is unused for us, we can do shut, no shut. And then what if we're trying to configure a name if? And you can see that is also being denied. Okay, going back on the authorization report, I was telling you on this lines right here, it said clear counters and name if tests were being denied by the command authorization. Everything else were allowed. Okay, so exit. Our next user is our local 1 user with Cisco. Let's enable password. You show current privilege is 15, and you should be able to issue all the commands as well. Okay, no problem right there. Just to verify, and all the command we just typed in, they're all green. Right now with our last user, which is local 2, Cisco. Let's try to get to enable. You can see it doesn't matter how many times you type the password, it's not going to let you through, because as soon as you type in enable, you're trying to enter privilege level 15. But if you're trying to lower it down to, let's say, privilege level 5, looks like it's not allowed right there. So again, if you reload on this authorization report, actually it's going to be under the authentication. And here again, we have the requested privilege level too high when the local 2 is trying to exceed the privilege level 7 that was assigned by the ACS. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is the HTTP authentication using the ASDM to the firewall. So first, let's use the admin one that's going to be granted privilege level 15. So you can see we can successfully lock in, and all the menus where there's configuration on and monitorings are available because the users are on the privilege 15. So just keep in mind this configuration menu right here. So what I'm going to do next to close out that, and then trying to lock in using our local 2 that's going to have only privilege level 7. You can see that the user can still lock in, but right there the configuration menu or button has now disappeared because privilege level 15 is required for the user to be able to perform configuration on the ASDM. So right now we're just left with the monitoring menu. Okay, now again, if we go back to the ACS and look under service selection rules, you'll see a lot of hit counts right here. So far there's no deny because there's always a match as far as the protocol being TACX. And then for the second round of rule matching under the actual access policy itself, we also see head counts for the 2 additional rules that we created in this lab. And again, we do not have any hit count for the deny because they are being caught by one of these 4 rules. And just for the word of caution, When it comes to dealing with command authorization, you always want to be extra careful as far as not to lock yourself out. Because once that happens, it depends on whether or not you have wrote the config. You might need to reload the device, or in the worst case scenario, going as far as doing the config bypass. So that wraps up our video on ACS 5.4 shell privilege and command authorization. You can visit our website to view an extensive list of our lab videos and sign up to get access to additional lab contents. Thank you for watching LabMinutes.com, and I'll see you guys in the next video.